Well, I would love to jump in this model. We'll hold off on it till later, okay? But maybe we'll try to get it done. So he's saying we're going to define a boundary condition there. Let's go look at what we're going to look at. So in our folders, I don't have a tutorial written out, but we're going to go and build it. So we're going to look at this 2D roadway in there. And so we have some CAD files. These are in DXF file format. We have some documents describing what's going on. In fact, those are really helpful for walking. I should have printed that out. That tells you what to do. We have a surface in LandXML file. We have some imagery. And we have some land use data. And we have our completed project. Just open that up. Hey, where's the completed project? I thought that came with the software. Okay, so let's go look at the document file. All right, so this is in Oskaloosa, Iowa. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't know if you saw Donald Trump in India the other day, but he was trying to pronounce Indian names, and he was having a difficult time with that. Yeah, pop that right in there. Okay, so anyways, we're going to go ahead and follow these steps, okay? So I did give you the document, it's just not a hard copy. Well, do you have Word on your computer? Okay, we're going to open it up. So first step, you just watch me and then I'll screw up and then you know what not to do, right? Add an elevation layer, okay? So let's go over here. We'll right click and say what? Add elevation layer. Hey, no tricking you guys. Hit the little browse button. We can go over to our training exercises to 2D roadway, and we're going to go to DTM, and we want to open up exist surface, and hit OK. And that's going to bring in our existing terrain for that area. It's a pretty big file, so it'll take a minute to load. There we go. Now we don't see the tin. The tin is filling in. First thing we do is show the boundary, and then we're filling the tin. And this was flown by LiDAR. And so they tin the LiDAR for some reason. But okay, so while that's doing that, we're going to load a base map, right? So how do we do that?
Right click.
Right click. Yeah, there we go. 90% of the time you'll be correct. Add base map layer. We're going to throw the Google one in. Hit OK. And it's not showing up in the right spot, is it? Oh, that's not good. Let's go hit the navigate back button. Oh, it's not working. What is wrong? Existing tin. Well, let's see here. Let me remove that. And let me zoom back over to here. Oh, there's no coordinate system associated to it. That'll do it. That'll nail you every time. Okay, we have to have a coordinate system in there. So we have to open up this coordinate system here. So I'm going to go find that. So we're in Iowa. So how do I load a coordinate system? Right click, huh? No. A couple different ways. We can click on the little hyperlink down in the bottom right corner, or you can go to File, Map Coordinates. Does the same thing. Okay, we're in Iowa. So that's in North America. United States. I'm going to drill down in Iowa. And now we want to look at, I think, regional. Let me see. No, yeah, regional. And we're looking for zone 9. So we can go down and find zone 9. And we're going to say, if you have to scroll down to see it, click on Apply to Map View. And that'll show up now. It's in the correct coordinate system. Now that I have a coordinate system set up, it'll load the map in the right spot, right? Otherwise, it's going to show me the world, and that's not what I want. So right-click, say Add Base Map Layer, throw in the world again, right? Say Google, and now it should be in the right spot. There we go. Kind of looks like Colorado, almost. Okay. All right, add elevation layer. We want to add in this elevation grid file. This is from the LiDAR data. So we're going to grab this float file. A float file is an ArcGIS file format. So how do we add an elevation layer again?
Right click.
I know you know that, right click. Anybody else want to say right click? Hit the browse button and we want to grab this float file right there. Hit open, hit OK. Then any files you bring in that don't have a coordinate system associated to them, they will assume to use that coordinate system. Okay? So if you got a project coordinate system and you bring in stuff that's not coordinated, it'll do that. Now we want to go and see if it's visible. So we can say, we can right click, say zoom the layer extent, and we can say, wow, look at that. We can go over here and colorize that. And we can see our terrain colors in there. Looks nice. And if we look at the resolution of that data, it's 4 foot by 4 foot, which is okay, I guess. Okay. Next thing is they have some aerial imagery we want to bring in. This is in an ECW format. That's by another company. I forget who makes that out there. I think it's can't, my brain's fried. But anyways, guys who used to build MicroStation before it was MicroStation. Intergraph. This is from Intergraph. So we're going to go and grab that. So let's go to images. We'll right click, say add layer, not add elevation layer. We're going to go over to images. And we want to be careful. One of the files, it says here, the other EC image is not very good. So you can tell by the size. So this is 600 megabytes and this is 66 megabytes. So we're going to grab the big one, 600 megabytes. Look at that. There's your aerial imagery coming in. Okay, and we can check that imagery as well. And so everything's in there. It doesn't tell us the pixel size, though. Unfortunately, it doesn't give that information. Because ECW files are multi-pyramided, meaning that as I zoom out and zoom in, it'll use a different image. So it's a pyramid file, so as you zoom into more detail, it'll pull in that up to the maximum resolution it has. So it'll pull in multiple. That way it can load quicker. It'll load the first tile, which is quite small, and that'll contain the whole area. And then as you zoom in, it'll start to pull in the tiles for that area. So you're not having to load 600 megabytes at one go. 600 megabyte file will be take a while to load. So we just load the files, load the tiles, the imagery tiles they call them. We load those on demand. Okay. Now we want to go in and bring in our CAD layers. Okay. Now a little trick here. It says add layers, add layers. I can do that in one shot, right? I can right click, say add layers, and I can go over to my CAD folder and just grab both of these. Hit open. And these don't have a coordinate system in them. And so much for my idea that it was going to assign those, right? It didn't. So let's go back over to our project area, say zoom the layer extent. We're now back in our coordinate system, and we want to go and assign those. We'll come in here under properties, under spatial reference, just say assign current CRS. And because they're in the same layer group, it will assume both of those should be in the same coordinate system. So we'll see that it has mapped those both on there. Okay, so now if we change this, turn that tin off, we can now see the CAD stuff. It's not that good, but it's there. Okay. All right. And then we've got to add in the land use map. All right, so let's do that. We'll right click and say add layer. We can go and navigate and grab our land use map, pull that in. And we can now see that. Now I want to colorize that based on our properties, based on the properties here. If we go over to our Data Explorer, click on one of these polygons, we can see here something called GM layer, and it says pasture, and we have Manning's End. So if I wanted to map this based on the GM type, or GM layer I should say, how would I do that? Anybody remember? So the other button is click on that properties button, click on that, there we go. And down here, we're going to scroll down. We're going to choose attribute mapping. We're going to choose classified by unique values and GM layer. And notice it mapped that in there. It just guessed at that for us. And you can choose different, so you could choose different palettes in there. You'll come in there and change it to whatever palette you like, all right? hit OK, and then that palette will show up as showing up over here. Okay, so we can see that in there. If you don't like the colors, you can change the colors. Okay, so that's our land use data, and it's got Manning's data in it as well, so we'll turn that off. Okay, well, up till this point, it's pretty easy, right? The next thing is develop and run the HECRAS steady flow simulation. That's a big step, right? There's no steps for that. And then plot the flood map, compare with FEMA map, right? That's where the magic comes in. So what we want to do is go and look at our elevation grid right here. We can turn off our base map, and we can see that in there. So we want to kind of eyeball or figure out where we want our model. So we want to go and model this bridge structure right there. So we want to go and define our extent of our model. So we want to kind of draw in a line representing a contour, representing where we want to draw that in. So if I put my cursor over the ground, let's say right about here, down at the bottom it's showing my elevation about 749 feet or so, 750 feet. So if I could draw a contour line at 750 feet, that would be pretty nice. Let's try that out. Let's see what happens here. So we're going to go and go over to Map Edit. We're going to say Generate Contours. Well, I got to save it, right? That would help. So let's go put in our work folder under Consulting, under Training Examples. I guess this is our 2D model. Let me create a new folder called CM. Those are my initials. And we're going to call it 2D Flood Study. Huh? Save that on off there. Okay. All right, so it's asking us, okay, we want to go ahead and basically create a nice elevation, but we want to limit this to 750 feet. So we're going to type in 750, and I'll say 749. And so now my range is only 1 foot. And I'm going to just have one major contour. And let's see what else I want to do. And I might want to smooth those contours there. And it's going to be off that elevation grid. And it's going to save it into our folder, correct? Yeah, we're in our folder. All right, so we're going to click on Generate. And so now we can see in here a contour line right there. We can see it here, right there, and we can see another line there. And I don't know what somehow died in that area. It didn't find any elevation. But it gives us kind of an idea what's going on. So that's 750 feet. Maybe we want to have it a bit narrower, but I want to have far enough out so I can capture any of that flow area in there. So now I can take that line and use that as my model domain. Right? I can take that line and figure out what's going on. Right, here it is again, right there. Okay, so we can take that line and clean it up. So it's unlocked right now. So we could create a polygon off of that, right? So how would we do that? Well, we want to tie things together. So we can go and I'll make certain that my major contours is my current drawing layer. So I have to, it's unlocked right now. So I can, how do I do this? I can save that. There we go. I hit the save button. And now if I unlock it, there it's available now. So now I can edit it. So now it's written off to disk, okay? So now I can go back and find it. And now I can go and clean things up. So I'm going to ignore this area over here. So I want to probably tie into that, maybe right there. And then maybe I want to go a little bit lower. Maybe that's too high. Maybe let's try, this is, what's that elevation there? That's about 730 feet. Let's do that. Let's create another contour. Let's turn that one off. We'll rename this, in fact. We'll say rename. We'll say 750, can I do 750, 750 elevation there. So that's our 750. Let's make one at 730. Let's see what that looks like. So say generate contours, and what else? We're going to call it, we can change the name to 730 elevation. And we want to do, oh, that's why it was set to current screen limits. I should say terrain surface limits. That's why it got cropped. Okay, so we're going to choose terrain surface limits on there. That's why it didn't finish up down here and up on the top. And we'll set this to 730. I think you can set both to 730. Let's see if that works. I don't know. Let's see if it works here. 749, 730, 730, sorry. There it's. No, it keeps setting it back. It doesn't like that. So let's try let's make this 729 and 730. It'll allow that. Right, that's 1 foot. There we go. All right, click on generate and maybe change the color so we can see it. So we'll make it, I'm not good with color, so I'm going to purple. How's that? Purple, try purple. Hit generate. There it is. That's better. Much, much better. Okay. All right, so that's going to be kind of our model limits in there. You can see the same thing in here. Now you want to kind of simplify things. You probably don't want that. So we're going to chop that off. And you probably don't want to have all of these undulations in here. So you kind of, but at least you now have some sort of guideline to kind of represent where your model domain limits are. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go and create a new layer. How do we create a new layer? Right click, add new layer. Let's go ahead and create a GIS layer. We'll call it model domain, if I can spell, domain, PL for polylines, right? And we're going to go and create a polyline layer and change our color to something that's dark. I can see it better. And hit OK. That's our current drawing layer now. And we could say, well, let's go ahead and start. Well, how far up do we want to model this? Let's go ahead and model it up to this area right here. So we're going to cut across that. So we're going to go over here and say, scroll over, say draw polyline, and I'm going to come in from, let's say, right here, take it across over to there, say done. Do the same thing over here. Where do we want to end it? Let's say, let's end it right here. We'll come in here and take it across over where it's probably right through there. Say done. Then we want to go ahead and probably what we'd like to do is see if we could trim that. Let's see. Let's show you how we can do that. We can come in here. If I can grab that, and I want to move that back, I can press F4 on my keyboard, function key F4. I can grab that, pull that back. All right, and I can do the same thing at the other end of this model. Come in here, grab that, press F4. It's already selected there. We can just pull that back. Okay. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to move this contour line to my new layer, right? So how could I do that? Well, I can go to my Data Explorer, switch the layer over to my model domain polyline, and that line now has been switched to a new layer. You everybody see that? Yeah.
Can you do that with like a layer group? Like if you click on multiple lines, could you switch them at the same time, or would you have to go individually to each?
You can grab a whole bunch of lines.
Yeah.
You can do a whole bunch of lines at once. Yeah. So we could grab all of them. We could right click and say select similar, and we could come in here and say model domain, and so now they're all in that layer. Okay. Okay, now we want to do some trimming, right? So we can go over here to, that's what we want, split. Come in here, grab this one, and grab this line. Let's see, I want to select it. Hit OK. And now this is separated. We can delete that off. We can do the same thing for this one. So we can repeat that last command, Control R. And grab that line, that's where we're going to trim. We'll pick this other line. And now that's another part. We can, now we want to merge these two lines together, right? We can grab, hold on the Shift key, grab both of them, say merge polylines, and just hit OK. And now that's one line, right? So you can repeat that over here, right? So now we're going to have garbage in here. We got to take out some of this garbage, right? And we might want to even smooth this line out a little bit. There's some more garbage there. We grab that line. I want to smooth that line, right? So what I can do is I can go over here to smooth elements, and I can give it a couple iterations here. And our iteration, how far our threshold? Let's just measure that. We'll come in here I'm going to assume something like from here to there. What is that distance? That's 60 feet. So we want to go like 60 feet. And we'll do 4 iterations. Hit OK. And I guess it's smooth already. It didn't do it. It didn't. I thought it would clean it up better than that. Well, we can reshape that, right? We know how to go reshape. We can say reshape. We can say draw an intersected polyline. Come in here. We can just say, well, I want to start from here. Take it on through. Make sure I don't capture that again. Take it back up in here and cross over again. Somewhere in there, I'll add another point. Cross over. Say done. Hit OK. And that smoothed that out. So you can clean it up that way. So let's go and trim these up. We're running low on time here. So we're going to go back to trim, split, I guess. We'll pick this line. And we're going to pick, that is our cut line. There, okay. I want to make sure. Let me lock the CAD layer so I don't actually delete them. Oh, they're locked already. Okay, so I can't delete them by accident. Okay, so I got my upper part, and you could go through that process. No, to do that, we're spending an hour or two. I don't want to spend an hour or two, right? But I can at least show you the concept. So let's speed this up a lot, right? So we're going to go and do that. We're going to go back in here. Let's just go ahead and create a new layer. We're going to create a polygon layer. And we'll call it bounding model domain, right? Model domain. PG for polygon. Hit OK. And we're going to just draw that in. We're going to go over to draw polygons. We're going to draw something like from here to here. And then we're going to come in and we're going to have to go along that edge. Take it over here. Take it up along here. All right, what are we going to do here? Well, we got to go all the way down there. So let's just take it over like this. We'll assume that's another boundary condition. We'll come along here. Let's just end it here. Take it across our river. Go up along this edge. Could have another boundary condition right along here. Take it across our roadway. And we can just right-click, say done, and it'll close itself. Okay, so there's my model domain. Okay, now you could smooth that if you want. You can choose what do you want to choose? Smooth elements. Let's see if I can pick that. And if I come in and set that to, I don't want to set that to. I think that I want to set that to a much smaller value. Let's say 5 feet. Let's see what happens. No, it didn't do it. It didn't do as good a job as I thought it would, but it's looking at, let's see, I'd have to try it again. Let me try it one more time. Let me try a smaller distance here. Let's try 2 feet. No, well, it looks like it did a little bit, but let's see here. Yeah, so you can see it's adding additional vertices in there. So it's smooth. You saw it's smoothing that corner in there. So you can see it's doing its job. So instead of what I had before, remember if I undo this, if I come here and select it, now we have sharp turns in there. If I go back and put those in there, come here, grab it, you can see that's not the right one, but we want to grab this one. If I press function key F4, you can see it's added that in there. So it smooths things out pretty quickly. All right. So I want to turn off these other contours. I don't need to see them anymore. And we'll leave those around so we have them. Okay. So that's our model domain. Okay. All right, now it did kind of round these edges over here, and probably you want to maybe get rid of those edges, have sharp corners in there. Go in there and clean that up. We can grab a vertex here, and what we can do is we can take out these vertices between there. So hold down the delete key, grab this vertex here, and just hit the delete key multiple times. It'll just delete those vertices out of there. There, okay, that one's cleaned up. Same thing along this boundary, come in here, grab one of them, hit the delete key, take it over there, and straighten that out. Oops, and we can undo, Control Z will undo. The same thing, we can come over here, figure out we're going to start deleting there, and trim that out. There we go, and can grab that point, pull it further down.
I think it prompted me for approving every delete. Is there a way to get
Yeah,
that?
so yeah, good question. So under options, there's a checkbox called confirm deletions. Just disable that. And then you won't sit there and be yes, 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 yes. That'll get annoying really fast, right? Okay, this one looks fine up in here. Okay. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, some of those, that shape file's still in there. We'll turn that off. There we go. So that's our model domain. Okay, so we're going to go and define that as our model domain. So we're going to go over to our 2D flow area. We're going to go ahead and say assign 2D flow area. We can grab this, and we're going to call it, what's the name of this river again? We have to go figure out what it is. It's the name of the river is Muck Creek. There we go, Muck Creek. So name that Muck Creek. And then I'll go ahead and use the uniform mesh there. So now I can turn off my polygon I created. And I now have a HECRAS layer that's been created. I can double click on it, and I can click on update or rebuild, and there's my mesh. Now it's a little bit refined, but that's not bad. That's a 30-foot. Might want to make it a little bit bigger. Let's try 100 foot. Hit update, and there's our mesh. Okay. Now we want to incorporate our roadway as well, right? Otherwise, water's going to jump across that. We saw that earlier. Remember that? So what we can do is we can put this in as a break line. So we're going to start and end our break line right here. Probably put it along that, and then we probably want to put in that stream channel too. So let's see if we can assign that stream channel. If I go to my CAD layer, can I select that? Let's do this. Let's turn off our. We can do this trick. We can turn off our HECRAS layer. Let's turn off our color fill so we don't see that. We can see our break line in there. Is that a continuous line? It is. So let's go ahead and assign that as a break line, see what happens here. So we're gonna go over to break lines, say assign 2D flow break line. It's already selected, and we could call it, let's say, stream center line, and just hit apply. All right. So now if we go turn on a HECRAS layer, you see a break line in there. So now if I go and rebuild that mesh, if I double click on my mesh and I click on update, it's going to incorporate that in there. Now what we can do is we can tweak that a little bit. We can tell it to duplicate that further out. So what we can do is go to our break line data. That's under, I guess it's under here. And actually we can do it a different way. Let me show you here. We can go select the break line, go to Data Explorer, is that in here? We can see the data for that, but I want to go into my break line data, 2D break line data. Okay, we want to repeat. So look at this repeat break line cells. That's not available in that table because there's not enough columns. So we could say, all right, we could maybe leave it at 20 feet, and then we could say we want to duplicate that twice. So now if I click on close and regenerate my mesh, you'll see now another set of cells occurring there along that edge. I think it didn't show up. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. Select that. I think you can double click on it. It'll show your editor. Let's try that twice. Maybe I have to bump that in. Let's say 40 feet. Let's see if that's it. Hit close and try generating that again. There you go. See, so now it's doubled that up. So you may want to do that. You may want to kind of refine that out as you go. Okay. And you could also do that for the adaptive mesh as well. We still have to put in that roadway. So let's put that roadway in there. Now this is one continuous line, but I want to incorporate that that terrain source in there. So let's go and draw in a break line. We'll just go to break line. We'll say draw break line. Click on draw. And I can kind of just eyeball it here. Take it out past the extent of our mesh. Just hit apply. Draw another one on the other side of this. Come here, put that in close to the abutment. Take that in there, say done. Just hit apply. And now if we double click on our mesh, we can go and click on update. And now that's incorporated in our model too. Now here we might want to replicate that same process where we carry them out. So we can go to our break line editor. And we can select that break line, so we can say, oh, I want to make this 40 feet, and we'll go twice here. And we can say, grab the next one, this one here, we'll put 40 in there, put that in twice, and hit close. And now if I go and remesh this, it'll carry that along there. All right, so next thing we're going to do is go and define our boundary conditions. Oh, this mesh looks really bad down here, so we're going to have to fix this right along here. All right, so we want to incorporate that. So probably what we want to do is that mesh boundary. Let me go and figure that out. If I go over here, self faces, it's fine. I can put a break line along there as well. I could treat a break line in there. We're just going to define that as a boundary condition. But let's try the adaptive mesh. Let's give that a shot, see what happens there. Adaptive mesh, just hit update. Oh, that fixed it up right there, didn't it? Okay, so I cleaned that all up. Did a much better job for us, doesn't it? Okay. So let's go and finish up our model. We can go and define some flows. All right, so we're going to define our boundary condition up there. I have my flow values. If I go to my table, my Word file here, we're going to look at, let's say, our 100-year flow. We'll copy that to our clipboard. And we're going to go over here, define our boundary condition. So we're going to go over to boundary condition elements. Just say draw boundary condition line. Just draw a line from here to there. Say done. We'll give it our, we'll call it our upstream boundary. All right, and then we can go and define the flows by just double clicking on it. Say it's going to be a hydrograph. Click on define. Put in our flow value at the start. Go down to 24-hour time period, paste that in, say interpolate missing data. Got to give it a slope. Click on the little measure button. We'll just measure the slope along this channel. And so I got a slope in there. Let's go and do the other end of our model right here. So you're going to go over back to boundary condition line, say draw boundary condition line. Click on the draw button. We'll just go along here. Right click, say done. Call that our downstream boundary. We're going to assume that's normal depth, right? So we're going to double click on it. Say normal depth. Give it a slope. Click on the measure button. And I'm going to just measure, well, I probably want to measure, well, we're going to be in flood conditions, right? So we're going to measure along this, the floodplain. So I'm going to go and kind of measure along that bed there. So I got our slope in there. Now I want to put one more flow in. Assume we got a little bit of flow in there. So we can define our boundary condition again. Go over here, say draw boundary condition line. We can just draw something from here to there. You can also put a boundary condition point in. So if you want to put a flow in, let's say at a wastewater treatment plant with discharging flow or a culvert, you could put a point in and it'll add flow at that point. So I'm going to just call it side flow. Let's see, this is east side flow. I don't know what river that is. We could turn on our basement and figure it out, but I guess it's maybe it's unnamed, right? I don't see a name on that. What you can do is you can also go over to watershed, say rivers and streams, say okay to that, give it a second, and it'll pull down in there. And right now it doesn't pull in as GIS data. This is just an image. in the next release, it'll actually download the image as a vector data, shapefile data, and it'll have attribute data associated. You can see it's not very accurate though. But they may have changed it, right? They may have, you know, when they originally drew it, they may have done it that way and then it's changed. But you can see it's not super accurate. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go over to my base map, switch this over to terrain, streets, water map Google, and that'll show you where they think it is, and they don't have any idea it's there. So sometimes they have really good data. In this case, they didn't have it. Okay, so let's go back into a hybrid map. Okay, so that's not helping us. We'll turn that off. So let's just put a flow on there. Say flow hydrograph. I don't know how big a watershed it is. So let's say it's 1,000 CFS or 1,200 CFS. Go down to 24 hours, another 1,200 in there. Interpolate missing data, and we can measure our slope through there. So we can go kind of in this direction. That's our slope. And then we had just one more little boundary condition. There's like this little watershed here, but it doesn't look like it's very big, right? These are very small areas. Doesn't look like a lot of area contributing there. I may want to figure out how much is contributing, so I can go over and say delineate watershed. You can click on OK, and I can click near that streamline. Actually, what I should do before I do that, let me get out of the command. Turn on my river streams, and if there's a streamline, it'll show it to me. If I don't see a streamline, it won't work. But if we're going to try, I want to see what's contributing here. So I can go to delineate watershed, say OK, click right here on that stream, and it's going to go and compute my watershed for me. I was doing this in the cloud, so it depends on how fast the computer is, how fast the server is in the cloud. But there it is. It figured out that's the contributing drainage area. So 1,000 CFS is probably reasonable in there, depending on the 100-year storm, right? But over here, I can't see much. You might also want to figure out where water's flowing. So you can say raindrop flow path, click on OK, and just click on your map. Just click, click, click if you want, and right-click, say Done, and it'll draw those in for you, showing you where. Okay, so we can see there's a watershed divide there. So this water's spilling over to some other stream, isn't it? We could also go and look at the watersheds itself. We can go over to watershed boundaries. You can also download these as a shapefile. Select OK, and there you can see what the contributing areas are. So you can see that is not that big of an area there. So maybe a little bit of flow is coming in, but that's it. All right, so let's go turn all that stuff off. Don't you wish hydrology was that easy, right? Okay, we're working on it. All right, so let's go run our model, right? So right now I have to give it initial water source elevation. So let's go in there, see what our elevations are looking like here. It's about 717 feet or so. It's going to be probably deeper than that, but let's see. Let's go in there to our boundary conditions under unsteady flow data. Go to initial value, type in 7. Let's make it 720. Hit OK. And let's go run our simulation. Let me save my model. Go to analysis. Hit the run %, give it today's date, 25th, end it till tomorrow. That's the 26th. Hit compute. It's going to run our simulation. But it makes it look easy, doesn't it? You too can be a hydraulic engineer. Join our course for only $19.95 plus shipping. We'll throw in the Vegematic or something. Hit OK to that. Okay, so initially it's going to be unstable, so we're going to kind of pull it over to some point in time. And that's now our flood. Let's try it now. Turn on particle tracking. There we go. Okay, so let's have you guys work through this, and I'll walk around and help you guys. Any questions though? Okay, well, good enough. And there's that document file to get you started.